A 32-year-old single father returns to his broken childhood home with his 6-year-old son, carrying nothing but guilt and a suitcase. The house is falling apart. The money is almost gone. And buried inside his late father's papers is a debt that could take everything away before he even has the chance to start over. Then a woman from across the street walks into his life and refuses to let him drown alone. But when his ex-wife comes to take his son, and her old fiancé comes to take her back, one man has to choose between running from the past or fighting for the only family he has left. Stay with me until the very end to see whether Adrian keeps his son, his home, and the woman who believed in him before he believed in himself. If you enjoy this story, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I love seeing how far my stories travel around the world. The rental truck coughed once and died at the end of Maple Street, right in front of the house Adrian Cole had sworn he would never see again. He sat behind the wheel for a long minute before he did anything. His hands stayed where they were, 10 and 2, the way the army had drilled into him a lifetime ago. The engine ticked as it cooled. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked, gave up, tried again. The late afternoon sun came through the cracked windshield and landed on his jaw, and he realized he had not shaved in 3 days. "Dad!" The voice was small and came from the passenger side. Adrian turned his head. Noah was buckled into the middle seat between 2 cardboard boxes and a garbage bag full of winter coats they would not need for another 4 months. The boy had his mother's mouth and Adrian's eyes, and right now those eyes were fixed on the house across the windshield with the specific, narrow suspicion only a 6-year-old could produce. "Is that it?" Noah asked. "That's it, bud. It looks like nobody lives there." "Nobody does. Not for a while now." Noah considered this. He had a way of chewing on the inside of his cheek when he was thinking, a habit Adrian had noticed for the first time about 2 months ago and had not figured out how to mention without making it into a thing. "Is it ours?" "Yeah," Adrian said. "It's ours." "Okay." The boy did not sound impressed. Adrian could not blame him. The house at 1412 Maple Street had once been white. Now it was the color of old paper. The porch sagged on the left side where a post had rotted through, and the screen door hung off one hinge like a loose tooth. The front yard was ankle-deep in crabgrass. A shutter on the upstairs window had come loose and tilted sideways, giving the whole front of the house the look of a face that had stopped caring. "All right," Adrian said. He said it to himself more than to Noah. "All right." He got out of the truck. The door groaned. He walked around to the passenger side, unbuckled his son, and lifted him down onto the sidewalk. Noah held onto Adrian's shirt for a second longer than he needed to, then let go and stood on the cracked pavement with his small backpack hanging from one shoulder. "Stay with me," Adrian said. "I am." They walked up the path together. Adrian had the keys in his pocket, the same keys his father had mailed him in a manila envelope 8 months before the old man died, with a note that just said "for when you need them." Adrian had thrown the note away. He had kept the keys, though. He had not been able to say why at the time. He knew now. The lock fought him. He jiggled it the way his father used to, the little trick of lifting the doorknob and pushing at the same time, and something in his chest did a strange, soft thing when his hands remembered before his brain did. The door opened. The smell hit first. Dust and old wood, and the faint vinegar tang of a house that had been closed up through too many summers. Adrian stood in the doorway with his son pressed against his leg and looked into the front room of the house he had grown up in. It was smaller than he remembered. That was the first thing. Everything in memory was always bigger. The wallpaper his mother had picked out in 1998 was still on the walls, yellow flowers on a cream background, curling at the seams now. The couch was gone. The armchair was gone. But the built-in bookshelves his father had put in one summer were still there, empty, and the fireplace was still there. And the water stain on the ceiling where the upstairs bathroom had leaked that one winter when Adrian was 11 was still there, bigger now, a brown continent spreading across the plaster. "It smells weird," Noah said. "It's been closed up. We'll open some windows." "It smells like old." "Yeah, bud, that's what I said." Adrian set the duffel bag down. The dust in the air caught the light from the front window and hung there, not settling. He walked through to the kitchen. The linoleum was the same cracked pattern he remembered. The fridge was open and empty and unplugged. On the counter, somebody, the lawyer probably, the one who had handled the estate, had left a stack of mail and a pair of reading glasses Adrian recognized as his father's. He picked the glasses up, held them for a second, put them back down. "Dad." "Yeah." "Where's my room?" Adrian turned. Noah was standing in the kitchen doorway with his backpack still on, and his face had gone small and uncertain in the way Adrian had learned to watch for. "Come here," Adrian said. He took his son by the hand and walked him up the stairs. The third step creaked the same way it had creaked when Adrian was 7 and sneaking down for cookies at midnight. He showed Noah the smaller of the 2 bedrooms at the end of the hall, the one that had been Adrian's once. It had a window that looked out over the backyard. The walls were still the dumb navy blue Adrian had painted them at 14 when he had been going through a phase. "This one's yours," he said. "We'll paint it, whatever color you want." "Green," Noah said immediately. "Green. Like the forest in the movie." "Okay." "The dark green." "Got it." Noah walked into the room. He stood in the middle of the bare floor with his backpack still on and turned in a slow circle. Adrian watched him from the doorway and felt the thing in his chest tighten again, the thing that had been tightening for 8 months now and showed no sign of letting up. "You brought him here," he thought. "You brought him to this." "Dad." "Yeah." "There's no bed." "I know. We'll sleep in sleeping bags tonight, camping, right? And tomorrow we'll figure out the bed." Noah nodded. He took his backpack off and set it carefully in the middle of the floor, as if he were planting a flag. "Okay," he said. They unloaded the truck as the sun went down. There was not much to unload. Adrian had sold most of the furniture back in Ohio, the dining table that Megan had picked out, the leather couch they had fought about for 2 months before she finally agreed to it, the crib he had taken apart himself the week Noah moved into a real bed. What was left fit into the back of a 16-footer with room to spare. Clothes, books, Noah's toys, a box of kitchenware, the record player Adrian's mother had left him, the one thing of hers he had kept. By the time they finished, the streetlights had come on. Adrian stood on the porch with his hands on his hips, sweating through his t-shirt, and looked at the house from the outside again. It was not better in the dark. The darkness just hid it. "You need a hand?" He turned. A woman was standing at the foot of the porch steps. She had come from across the street, he realized, though he had not heard her cross. She was younger than him. Late 20s, maybe? It was hard to tell in the porch light, with dark hair pulled back in a loose knot and a paint-stained denim jacket over a sundress. She was holding a casserole dish wrapped in a kitchen towel. "I'm sorry," Adrian said. "A hand. With the stuff." She nodded at the truck. "I saw you guys pull up. Figured you could use dinner more than another person telling you welcome to the neighborhood." Adrian stared at her for a second longer than was polite. "No," he said, then, realizing how it had come out, "I mean, no, we're good. We finished. Thank you." "Oh, okay." She smiled, unbothered. "Then just dinner, I guess." She held the casserole dish up. Adrian looked at it. He had not thought about dinner. He had not thought about a lot of things. In the back of his mind, a running list had been building for 6 hours. Electricity, water heater, groceries, bed frame, Noah's school paperwork. And somewhere on that list was feed the kid, and somewhere below that was feed yourself. And she was standing on his porch holding the first one already solved. He stopped. He started again. "You didn't have to do that." "I know I didn't. That's sort of the point." She climbed the porch steps without waiting to be invited. She moved the way people moved when they had never been made to feel unwelcome anywhere, and Adrian noticed it and filed it somewhere without knowing why. "I'm Ivy," she said. "I live in the blue house, the one with the porch swing." "Adrian." "I know. Mr. Cole was your dad." "Yeah. He was a good man. I'm sorry." Adrian did not know what to do with that. He had been getting variations of it for 8 months now, from lawyers and cousins and old friends of his father's he had never heard of before. He had developed a nod that worked for most of them. He used it now. "This is my son," he said. "Noah." Noah was in the doorway behind him. He had come out when he heard voices. "Hi, Noah," Ivy said. She crouched, which Adrian appreciated more than he could have explained because most people bent over at the waist when they talked to kids, and it made Noah shy. "I brought you and your dad dinner. Do you like chicken?" Sometimes, Noah said, with the caution of a lifelong food critic. This is the sometimes kind. Is it a sometimes night? Noah considered. Maybe. Fair enough. She stood up and handed the dish to Adrian. It was warm against his palms. There's a salad in there, too. And there's bread on the bottom, so don't tip it. You've got plates, right? Yeah. You sure? I don't know, Adrian admitted. She laughed. It was a short, surprised sound. Okay, she said. Come over in the morning if you don't. I've got extras. I've got extras of everything. My aunt was a hoarder, but the good kind, where it was all casserole dishes. Thank you, Adrian said. He meant it. He could hear himself meaning it, and it surprised him. You're welcome. Welcome home. She went down the porch steps. At the bottom, she turned. The porch light on the left doesn't work, she said. You'll want to change that bulb before tomorrow night. Otherwise, you'll break your neck coming in. How do you know? I've been watching the house for a while. She said it simply, not as a confession, just as a fact. And then she walked back across the street with her empty hands swinging at her sides. Adrian watched her go until she was up on her own porch, and then he watched her turn on her own porch light and go inside. And then he stood there for another minute holding the casserole dish against his stomach before Noah tugged on his sleeve. Dad, it smells good. Yeah, Adrian said. Yeah, it does. He just said. They ate at the kitchen counter because there was no table. Adrian had found paper plates in the bottom of one of the boxes. Noah ate 2 helpings, which was more than he had eaten in one sitting since the divorce, and Adrian noticed this the way he noticed everything about Noah now, obsessively, in the back of his head, keeping score against some internal ledger of whether his son was okay. Can we have this again? Noah asked. I'll see if I can figure out how to make it. You can't cook. I can cook some things. You can cook hot dogs. Hot dogs are a thing, Noah. Hot dogs are not dinner, Dad. Who told you that? Mom. Adrian stopped chewing for half a second. It was a small stop, and he hoped Noah did not catch it, but Noah caught everything lately, and the boy's eyes flickered up and then down again, and Adrian felt the familiar low guilt settle in the hollow under his breastbone and stay there. Mom's right, he said. Hot dogs aren't really dinner, but sometimes they are. That's what I said. You said they weren't. I said they weren't dinner. I didn't say we couldn't eat them. Adrian looked at his son. Noah looked back. There was a long moment of mutual assessment, and then Noah smiled. The small sideways smile he did when he knew he had won something, and Adrian felt something in his chest unclench for the first time in what felt like days. Eat your salad, he said. It has onions. No, it doesn't. It does. I can see them. Those are chives. What are chives? Onions. Dad, eat around them. Noah ate around them. After dinner, Adrian washed the casserole dish in the kitchen sink. The hot water heater, by some miracle, worked. He dried the dish with a t-shirt from his duffel because there were no dish towels and he had not thought to buy any. He set it on the counter to return in the morning. He put Noah in the sleeping bag in the middle of the blue bedroom floor. He read 2 chapters of a book about a boy who found a dragon in his backyard. Noah was asleep before the second chapter was over, one hand curled under his cheek, the other still holding the worn stuffed rabbit he had slept with since he was 2. Adrian watched him for a minute longer than he needed to. Then he turned off the lamp and went downstairs. He sat on the front porch steps in the dark. The neighborhood was quieter than any neighborhood he had lived in since he came back from Iraq. No sirens, no highway hum, just crickets, and somewhere far off a freight train, and a dog that barked once every few minutes in a bored, regular way. He sat with his elbows on his knees and looked out at the street. The blue house across the way had its lights on. The porch swing was empty. He could see a figure moving behind one of the upstairs curtains, just a shape, and then the shape was gone. He thought about Megan. He did not want to. He did it anyway. It had become a habit, the way some people smoked. He did not enjoy it. He just did it, and afterward he felt worse. She had told him, the last time they spoke, that she hoped he would finally figure himself out. She had said it in the tone of voice she used when she had rehearsed a sentence. He had not answered. There had not been any answer that would not have made things worse. She had the apartment and most of the friends and the dog. He had Noah 3 days out of 7, until the custody review in October. And now he had a house, a bad house, on a quiet street, in a town he had spent 10 years trying to leave. You brought him here, he thought again. You brought him to this. He sat on the porch until the mosquitoes found him. Then he went inside and lay down in a sleeping bag next to his son's sleeping bag and stared at the ceiling for a long time, listening to Noah breathe, before sleep finally took him. He woke to the sound of someone on his porch. It was still dark, or almost dark. The blue hour before dawn, where the sky had color but the houses were still shapes. He sat up fast, army fast, before his brain caught up with his body, and his heart was already pounding by the time he registered that the sound was not footsteps, but a soft scraping. He got out of the sleeping bag without waking Noah. He went down the stairs in his socks. The third step creaked. He paused, listened, and kept going. He opened the front door. Ivy was on her knees on the porch. She had a plastic grocery bag beside her and a small cardboard box open in front of her, and she was unscrewing the dead bulb from the porch light on the left. Jesus, Adrian said. She jumped. The screwdriver she was holding clattered against the floorboards. Oh God, sorry. She pressed a hand to her sternum. I thought you'd still be asleep. What are you It's 5 in the morning. It's 5:40. It's 5:40 in the morning. I get up early. To break into people's porches? To change light bulbs, your light bulb. I said last night you needed to change it. She gestured at the dead bulb in her hand. I was going to leave a new one. And then I figured if I left it, you'd forget, so I figured I'd just do it. And then I figured if I just did it without asking, that would be weird. And then I figured doing it anyway was less weird than worrying about whether it was weird. Adrian stared at her. That, he said, is the longest chain of reasoning I've heard in a while. I've been up for an hour. I had coffee. You had a lot of coffee. I had enough coffee. Hi. Basse? He leaned against the doorframe. He was wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants, and he had not looked at a mirror, and he could feel that his hair was doing whatever it wanted. She looked, by contrast, like someone who had been awake and functional for a meaningful portion of the morning. She was in jeans and a flannel shirt, and she had her hair in the same loose knot from last night. You really shouldn't be on my porch at 5:40, he said. Is that a rule? It's a reasonable social convention. Oh, she considered. I don't super believe in those. I'm getting that. She held up the new bulb. Can I finish? He watched her for another second. He did not know what to do with her. She did not fit any category he had, and he had categories for almost everyone. Soldiers, he knew. His father's friends, he knew. Megan's friends he had known well enough to survive dinner parties. Landlords and lawyers and the guys at the VA. This woman was none of those. She was kneeling on his porch in the blue dawn with a light bulb in her hand, and she was not flirting with him, exactly. And she was not pitying him, exactly. And she was not even really being friendly in the way he understood the word. She was just there, doing a thing. Because she had decided the thing needed doing. Yeah, he said, finish. He made coffee while she did. He found the French press in a box labeled kitchen and rinsed it out in the sink and boiled water in a saucepan because he had not unpacked the kettle. The coffee was the last of the bag from Ohio. He brought 2 mugs out onto the porch and handed her one. You don't have to, she said. I know I don't. She took the mug. She sat down on the top step, and after a second he sat down next to her, not too close, and they drank coffee in silence while the sky slowly turned the color of peaches behind the house across the way. So, she said finally. So, are you staying? Here? In town? I don't know yet. You just moved in. I know. She nodded, like this made sense to her. He was grateful for that. He had been expecting her to push, and she did not push, and he noticed that too. I grew up here, he said, surprising himself. I left when I was 18. I've been... He gestured vaguely. Away. Army, then Ohio, then Ohio, still. Until 2 weeks ago. And now? Now this. Because of your dad? Partly. She waited. He did not fill the silence. She did not make him. They drank their coffee. My wife left me, he said. He said it easily. He had not said it easily to anyone yet, not even his own brother, and here he was saying it at 6 in the morning to a woman he had known for 9 hours. Ex-wife now. She had, she has Noah most of the time. I'm trying to fix that. The lawyer said it'd look better if I had a house, a place, something stable. So you came back. So I came back. Is it stable? He laughed. It came out more bitter than he meant it to. Look at the porch post, he said. She looked. The post on the left was clearly rotten. She could probably have pushed it over with one hand. Okay, she said. Fair. Yeah. Do you know how to fix a porch post? I know how to Google it. My dad was a carpenter. He taught me some things. Is that an offer? That's an offer. He looked at her. In the new light, he could see things he had not seen last night. A small scar through her left eyebrow. A chip on the edge of her front tooth. A smear of yellow paint on the cuff of her flannel shirt that she had not noticed or had not cared about. She was not what he would have called beautiful, the way Megan had been beautiful, in the exact deliberate way Megan had always been beautiful. She was something else. She looked like a person, he decided. She looked like an actual person who lived inside her own face. Why are you helping me? He said. She considered the question for longer than he expected. Because you need it, she said. That's not a reason. It is for me. She drank the last of her coffee. She stood up and brushed off the back of her jeans. I have to go open the shop, she said. I run a flower place on Main, the old one, next to the bakery. Come by sometime if you want. Or don't. No pressure. Okay. Welcome home, Adrian. She walked down the porch steps. At the bottom, she turned again, the same turn she had done last night. The railing's loose too, she said. On the right side. Don't lean on it. Okay? See you. She crossed the street. He watched her go again, and this time he noticed that she did not look back, not once, the whole way across. He sat on the porch with an empty mug and the sky going pale and thought, I do not know what just happened. The mail came at 10:30. Adrian was up on a ladder trying to rehang the screen door when the truck pulled up and he climbed down, wiping sweat from his forehead, and took the stack from the mail carrier and said, thank you. And the mail carrier said, you must be the son. And Adrian said, yes, sir, I must be. Most of the mail was junk. Pizza coupons, a flyer from a church, a catalog for hunting equipment addressed to his father. At the bottom of the stack was a long white envelope with the return address of a law firm in Raleigh. Not the lawyer who had handled the estate, a different firm. Adrian did not recognize the name. He opened it, standing in the front hall. He read it once. He read it again. Then he sat down on the second step of the stairs and read it a third time, slowly, one line at a time, the way the army had taught him to read orders. It was a notice of claim. His father, it said, had taken out a loan against the house in 2019, $42,000. The loan had gone into default after the old man's death. 8 months of missed payments, plus fees, plus interest, plus penalties, brought the total to just under $60,000. The letter was a formal notice that the creditor intended to initiate foreclosure proceedings against the property at 1412 Maple Street if the balance was not settled within 30 days. 30 days. Adrian read the letter a fourth time, then a fifth. Then he folded it in half and folded it again and pressed the fold with his thumb until the crease was sharp, the way his father used to fold things. Dad? Noah was at the top of the stairs. He was still in his pajamas. He had his stuffed rabbit under one arm. Hey, bud. What's that? Nothing, just some mail. Why are you sitting on the stairs? Adrian looked at his son. Noah's hair was sticking up on one side. His pajamas had dinosaurs on them. He was 6 years old, and his whole world fit in the space between his father's elbows. And Adrian had brought him to this house because there was nothing else to do. And now the house was going to be taken away inside 30 days. I'm just thinking, bud. About what? About breakfast. What do you want for breakfast? Pancakes. We don't have pancake stuff. Then we have to go to the store. Yeah, Adrian said. We have to go to the store. He stood up. He put the folded letter in his back pocket. He climbed the stairs and picked his son up, even though Noah was getting too big to be picked up, and he carried him into the blue bedroom and set him down on the sleeping bag and helped him find his jeans in the duffel bag, and the whole time his brain was running in a tight circle, a loop that would not close, saying, $60,000, $60,000, $60,000. He did not have $60,000. He did not have $6,000. He had, after the move and the gas and the truck rental and Noah's new school shoes, something like $4,100 in checking and a credit card with $8,000 on it, and no job and no prospects of a job in a town with a population of 3,200 people. He was a dead man walking around in his own house. Dad? Yeah? The store. Right, the store. Get your shoes. They went to the store. Adrian drove the truck because his car was still in a parking lot in Ohio, waiting to be shipped. The store was the same IGA he remembered from high school, with the same green sign and the same gravel parking lot, though the parking lot now had lines painted on it. Inside, he let Noah pick out cereal and pancake mix and a pack of fruit snacks that he knew Megan would not approve of, and he bought milk and eggs and bread and coffee and a frozen lasagna and a bag of apples, and at the checkout the total was $63.41, and he paid with his debit card and thought about the $60,000 again and felt something in his stomach that he recognized from a long time ago, from Fallujah. It was the feeling of being surrounded. On the way home, he passed Main Street. He saw the flower shop. It had a green awning and a hand-painted sign that said Lanes in looping script. The door was propped open. Through the window, for half a second as he drove past, he saw Ivy at the counter with a woman in a yellow dress, laughing at something, her head thrown back a little. He did not stop. He did not know why. That afternoon he called his brother. Mike was 4 years older. He lived in San Diego now and ran a solar installation company and had twin daughters and a wife named Kara, who Adrian liked, and a life that ran on a schedule. Adrian did not call him often. He was calling him now because there was nobody else to call. "Hey, Day," Mike said, picking up on the second ring. "You there? I'm in the house." "How is it?" "It's bad, Mike." "How bad?" Adrian told him. He told him about the porch and the roof stain and the shutter, and he told him about Noah sleeping in a sleeping bag on the floor, and then, because he had to tell someone, he told him about the letter. There was a long silence on the other end. 60,000, Mike said. "Yeah." "Jesus, Aid, did Dad say anything about this? Ever?" "No." No, Mike, nothing. I didn't even know he had a mortgage. The house was paid off when Mom died. I remember him saying that. He made a big deal about it. So what's this loan from? 2019, I don't know. I'll have to pull the papers. It's a finance company I've never heard of, out of Raleigh. That's not a bank? No, it's one of those, I don't know what to call them, one of those companies. The letter's got a logo that looks like it was designed in Microsoft Word. Christ, yeah. Another silence. "Do you want me to come out?" Mike said. It was not a question exactly. It was halfway between a question and an offer. "No, not yet. I need to figure out what this is first. I can wire you something. Mike, I can. I know you can. Not yet. Aid. Mike, not yet. I mean it. Okay? I'll call you when I know more. Okay? How are the girls?" "They're good. Lily lost a tooth. Tell her congratulations." "I will." Okay. AD. Yeah. Dad wasn't a guy who took out loans. You know that. I know. Something's wrong with this. Yeah, Adrian said. I know. He hung up. He stood in the kitchen with the phone in his hand and looked at the stack of his father's mail on the counter, the pile he had not gone through yet, and he realized he was going to have to go through it now. Every envelope, every bank statement, every receipt, and he was going to have to find out what his father had done and why, and he was going to have to do it in 30 days. 29. Now. That evening, Noah fell off the porch. It was not serious. He had been trying to walk along the railing, the loose one, the one on the right, the one Ivy had warned him about, and it had given way under his hand and he had gone off the side of the porch into the rhododendron. Adrian had been in the kitchen and heard the yell and had come running. Noah was sitting in the bushes crying more from surprise than pain. There was a scrape on his elbow and a scratch on his cheek from a branch. Adrian pulled him out, checked him over, carried him inside, sat him on the kitchen counter. I told you, he said, and his voice came out sharper than he meant it to. I told you not to lean on that railing. I wasn't leaning, I was walking. Why were you walking on it? I was being a tightrope. Noah, you could have broken your arm. I didn't. You could have. But I didn't. Adrian closed his eyes. He pressed his thumb and forefinger against the bridge of his nose. He counted to 5. When he opened his eyes again, Noah was looking at him with the particular wounded expression children got when they had been yelled at and did not think they deserved it. And Adrian knew. He knew in the way he always knew too late that he had overreacted. I'm sorry, bud. I didn't break anything. I know you didn't. I'm sorry I yelled. You didn't yell, you used your disappointed voice. That's worse. Yeah, Noah said. It is. Adrian laughed, against his will. He cleaned the scrape with water and a paper towel because the first aid kit was in a box he had not unpacked. Then he set Noah down and went out to look at the railing. It was worse than loose. The whole bracket had rusted through. The section he had pulled on had come half away from the post. If Adrian had leaned on it himself, it would have dumped him into the rhododendron with a broken leg instead of a bruise. He stood on the porch in the fading light and looked at the railing and the rotten post and the sagging side of the house, and he thought, I cannot do this. He thought, I cannot fix this house. I cannot pay this debt. I cannot keep my son. I cannot do any of this. He thought very clearly for the first time in months, I should just call Megan and tell her she was right. A horn honked softly across the street. He looked up. Ivy was coming out of her house. She had a toolbox in one hand and a coil of rope over her shoulder, and she was dressed in the same jeans and flannel from the morning, though the flannel had a different smear of paint on it now, red this time. She crossed the street without hurrying. She came up the walk. She set the toolbox down at the bottom of the porch steps. I heard the kid yell, she said. Figured I'd check. He's fine. I figured he was fine. You would have called somebody if he wasn't. Would I? I assume you would. You seem like the type. She climbed the steps, careful to skip the rotten board. She looked at the railing. She put a hand on it and shook it, and the whole section moved. Yeah, she said. That's coming off today. I can do it. I know you can. So I can do it too. 2 people's faster. Is Noah okay? Noah's inside. Can I say hi? Yeah. She went inside. He heard her voice in the kitchen, low, and then Noah's voice, higher, and then both of them laughing. He stood on the porch and listened to them and felt, for the first time since he had opened the letter that morning, that he might be able to breathe. She came back out. She picked up the toolbox. He's showing me his rabbit, she said. His rabbit is named Beans. Yeah. Beans is an excellent name. He picked it when he was 3. He stands by it. He does. She opened the toolbox. She took out a pry bar and a claw hammer. She handed the claw hammer to Adrian without looking at him. Left side, she said. I'll take right. Don't worry about saving the wood. We'll replace all of it. I can't. Adrian. He stopped. I am not doing you a favor, she said. I am doing a thing because it needs doing. You can pay me back by holding the post steady when I get to the post, okay? Okay? Okay. They worked in the fading light. Adrian pried out the rusted brackets on his side. Ivy pulled the railing free on hers. Twice she had to stop and show him something. How to seat the claw of the hammer under the lip of the bracket. How to use his body weight instead of his arms. And both times she did it without making him feel stupid, which was a skill he had not realized could exist until she demonstrated it. Noah came out and sat on the top step with his rabbit. He watched them. After a while, he started narrating. Dad is pulling off the old part, he told the rabbit. Ivy is pulling off her old part. They are working together. That is called teamwork. Mrs. Halsey taught us that in school. Your dad's a good teammate, Ivy said. He is okay at teamwork, Noah said seriously. He is better at hugs. Adrian looked over at his son. The sun was almost down. The last of the light was on Noah's hair, turning it gold at the edges, and the boy was cradling the stuffed rabbit like it was something fragile, and Adrian felt for the second time that evening like he might be able to breathe. I think we're good to here, Ivy said. She stepped back and wiped her hands on her jeans. We'll do the post tomorrow. You got a tarp? For the overnight? There's one in the shed, I think. I'll help you find it. They found the tarp in the shed. Adrian stretched it over the open section of porch and weighted it with bricks from the flower bed. Ivy packed up her toolbox. The sky had gone purple above the house across the way, and the first of the stars had come out over the roofline. "Ivy," he said. "Yeah." "Thank you." "Adrian." "Yeah." "Don't thank me yet," she said. "You've got a whole house of things that are broken. Save the thank yous for when we're done." She picked up her toolbox. She walked down the steps. Halfway down the walk, she stopped, turned. "Hey." "Yeah." "What's in the letter?" He stared at her. "What?" "The letter. In your back pocket. You've been putting your hand on it every 10 minutes since I got here. I figured if you wanted to tell me, you would. You don't have to." He looked at her across the darkening yard. He took the letter out of his back pocket. He unfolded it. The paper was soft from being carried all day. He walked down the porch steps and handed it to her. She read it. She read it slowly, the way he had read it, all the way through, and then again. When she was done, she folded it back along the same creases and handed it to him. "Okay," she said. "Okay, what?" "Okay." She shifted the toolbox to her other hand. "That's a lot." "Yeah." "That doesn't look right." "What do you mean?" "I mean the letter. The way it's written. The names." She pointed at the top of the page. At the logo he had noticed looked like it came out of Microsoft Word. "My aunt had one of those hit her about a year before she died. Different company, but the same. The same kind of look. Turned out to be fake." He stared at her. "Fake how?" "Fake like a guy signed her name to a loan she never took. Fake like that." "Someone forged it?" "Someone forged it. It took us 7 months and a lawyer to untangle. She almost lost her house." The porch light, the one Ivy had changed that morning, flickered on above him as the automatic sensor triggered. The yard went suddenly brighter. Adrian stood with the letter in his hand and the light hitting his face and looked across the street at the blue house. And then he looked back at Ivy, and she was looking at him with a flat, clear expression he had not seen before. Something steady underneath her, like a floor. "I'm not saying it's the same thing," she said. "I'm saying it's worth asking." "Ivy." "Yeah." "Would you—" He stopped. He tried again. "Would you help me find out?" She looked at him for a long second. "Yeah," she said. "I would." She walked back across the street. He watched her all the way, and this time, just before she stepped onto her own porch, she turned once, halfway, and lifted a hand. He lifted his back. He stood on the walk until her porch light came on. Then he turned and went up his own steps and into his own house, where his son was waiting for him in the kitchen with a stuffed rabbit and a scraped elbow and a whole unmade life. And he thought, for the first time since he had opened the envelope that morning, maybe. He thought, maybe. It was not hope. He did not trust hope. It was something smaller and closer to the ground, something the shape of a hand being offered from across a street. And it was the first thing in 8 months that had not felt like drowning. He locked the door behind him. He went to make his son dinner. The next morning, Noah woke him up by climbing onto his chest. Adrian opened his eyes to find his son sitting on his sternum in dinosaur pajamas, holding a box of cereal. "There's no milk," Noah said. "There's milk. I bought milk yesterday." "There was milk. I drank the milk." "All of it?" "Most of it." Adrian groaned and sat up. Noah slid off him and landed on the sleeping bag with a thump and a giggle. The room was full of gray morning light, the kind that promised rain by noon, and Adrian could already hear the distant drum of a truck somewhere down the street. His back hurt. His neck hurt. Sleeping on a hardwood floor at 32 was not what it had been at 20. "What time is it?" 7? "Noah?" 7 something. "Noah." 6:40. "Noah." 6:30 maybe. Adrian rubbed his face. He looked at his son. Noah had the particular bright, wide-awake energy of a child who had been up for at least an hour and had been waiting for permission to wake his father. There was cereal dust on his pajama shirt. "You ate dry cereal." "Yeah." "For breakfast." "I was hungry." "How much did you eat?" "Some." "How much is some?" "A bowl." "A whole bowl." "A medium bowl." Adrian laughed. Came up out of him before he could stop it. He pulled Noah against his side and kissed the top of his head and smelled the warm sleep smell of his son's hair, and for a second, just one, he forgot about the letter. Then he remembered. He got up. He made coffee on the stovetop the same way he had yesterday. He dressed Noah in jeans and a t-shirt with a whale on it, and he put on his own jeans and the least wrinkled button-down he could find at the bottom of the duffel, and he told his son they were going out. Where? To see a lawyer. What's a lawyer? Someone who knows about rules. Like a teacher? Sort of. A very boring teacher. Okay. The lawyer's name was Delbert Harmon, and his office was above the hardware store on Main Street, up a narrow flight of stairs that smelled like dust and old carpet. Adrian had found the name scribbled on the back of an envelope in his father's kitchen drawer, next to the gas bill. He had called at 7 a.m. expecting voicemail and had gotten Harmon himself, who had said, "Come on over, son. I've been waiting for you for about 8 months." The office was one room. It had a desk, 2 client chairs, a window with a view of the hardware store sign, and a wall of filing cabinets that looked like they predated the building. Harmon himself was a short, heavy-set man in his late 60s with a gray mustache and glasses that sat too low on his nose. He stood up when Adrian came in, and he shook his hand, and he smiled at Noah, and he gestured at the chairs. Sit down, both of you. You want a juice box, son? I keep juice boxes. My grandkids come in sometimes." "Apple," Noah said, before Adrian could decide whether to let him have one. "Apple it is." Harmon produced a juice box from a mini fridge behind his desk. He handed it across. He sat back down, and his chair creaked, and he laced his fingers together on the desk blotter and looked at Adrian over the tops of his glasses. "All right, son," he said. "Show me what you got." Adrian took the letter out of his shirt pocket. He had refolded it along the same creases 3 times over now, and the paper was starting to soften. He handed it across. Harmon unfolded it, smoothed it flat, and read it without saying anything. When he was done, he turned it over, as if looking for more, then set it face up on the desk. He said. What? This is interesting. Interesting like I've seen this company before." Adrian sat forward. Noah slurped his juice box and looked back and forth between the two of them like he was watching a tennis match. "You've seen them?" "The company, yes. Pinnacle Asset Recovery. They've been through this county twice in the last 3 years. Both times it was someone's estate. Both times the loan turned out to be, how do I put this? It turned out to be of questionable origin. Fake. I didn't say fake, I said questionable. Ivy Lane told me her aunt had something similar." "Did she?" Harmon's mustache moved in what was either a smile or a thoughtful twitch. "Ivy would know. Her aunt was my client." "You handled it?" "I handled it. Took about 7 months. We got it thrown out in the end, but it was, let's say it was a close thing. Mr. Harmon, I have 29 days. "I know you do. I can't do this in 29 days. "Well," Harmon took his glasses off, polished them on his tie, put them back on. "Maybe you can, and maybe you can't. First thing we need to do is figure out if this loan exists. Second thing is, we figure out if it exists legitimately. Those are 2 different questions. How do we figure those out? You're going to go through your father's papers, every scrap, bank statements, check registers, tax returns, anything with his signature on it. You bring me whatever you find. Meantime, I'll pull the property records and see what's officially filed against the house, and then we talk." "Okay. You got his papers?" "Some. There's a file box in the basement. I haven't opened it." "Open it." "Okay." Harmon leaned back in his chair. The chair protested. "Son," he said, "can I tell you something straight?" "Yes, sir." "Don't call me sir. I'm not that old. I knew your dad." "Not well. But I knew him enough. And if your dad took out a $60,000 loan against his house in 2019 and didn't tell a single living soul, then I'm the Queen of England. You understand?" "Yes." "Good. Go find me some papers." They stopped at the IGA on the way home. Adrian bought more milk because Noah had drunk it all, and he bought a box of good trash bags because the ones in the house were old and brittle, and at the checkout on impulse, he bought a bunch of yellow tulips wrapped in brown paper. "Who are those for?" Noah asked. "A lady." "Ivy?" "Yeah." Why? Because she's helping us. Is she your girlfriend? Adrian looked down at his son. Noah was standing at the edge of the checkout counter with the milk jug held against his chest with both arms and a face of complete, blameless curiosity. No, bud. Okay. She's a neighbor. Okay. She's helping. Okay. Noah. What? Nothing. Get in the truck. At home, he put the groceries away. He told Noah to go play in his room for a few minutes, which Noah did with the dutiful sigh of a child accepting a bargain he did not fully endorse. Adrian crossed the street with the tulips. Ivy's porch was painted gray. The swing had a quilt folded over the back of it. The front door had a little window at the top shaped like a diamond, and through the diamond he could see the edge of a kitchen and the corner of what looked like a refrigerator covered in magnets. He knocked. She opened the door in a t-shirt and cut-off shorts with her hair wet from the shower. She looked at him. She looked at the flowers. She looked back at him. "You bought flowers for a florist," she said. "Oh. Adrian. I didn't think. You bought flowers from the IGA for a florist." I'm realizing my mistake. The IGA, Adrian. In my defense, there's no defense. In my defense, I didn't know your shop was open yet. It opens at 10. Right. And my shop has better flowers. Right. Adrian. Yeah. She looked at him for a long second. Then she stepped back from the doorway. "Come in," she said. "Bring the tulips. I'll put them in water. They're not bad for IGA tulips." He came in. The house smelled like coffee and something citrusy, maybe soap. The front hall had a row of hooks with jackets and a pair of muddy boots under a bench. She took the flowers from him and walked down the hall, and he followed her into a kitchen that had yellow walls and a butcher block counter and an assortment of mismatched chairs around a small round table. The refrigerator was, as promised, covered in magnets. There were photographs stuck under them. An older woman laughing with a cigarette in her hand, a black dog on a beach, a younger Ivy in a graduation gown with her arms around a tall, gray-haired man. "My dad," she said, without turning around. She was cutting the stems of the tulips at the sink. "He passed 4 years ago. My aunt took me in after my mom left. I stayed with her through college. She's the one who used to own this house. The one with the loan thing. Yeah. I'm sorry." "It's okay. You didn't do it." I know what you meant." She set the tulips in a blue glass vase and put the vase on the table. "Thank you for the flowers, even if they are from the IGA. Sit down. You want coffee?" "I can't stay long." "Sit down anyway." He sat. She poured him a cup of coffee from a carafe on the counter. She poured one for herself. She sat across from him, and she pulled one knee up under her chin the way some people did, and she waited. "I saw Delbert Harmon this morning," he said. "Del's good. He said your aunt was his client." She was. He said the company Pinnacle Asset Recovery. He's seen them before, more than once. I know. You knew they were the company? I didn't know until you showed me the letter, but I recognized the name. Why didn't you say anything last night? Because you'd already had a bad enough day. He looked at her. She was holding her coffee with both hands, the way children held mugs, and there was a blue stain of toothpaste at the corner of her mouth that she had not noticed. She did not look away. "Ivy." "Yeah. I want to tell you something." "Okay." "I'm not—" He stopped. He started again. "I'm not in a place to—" "Adrian, let me finish." "Sorry. I am not in a place to offer anything to anybody. I've got a kid who just lost a mother and a house that's falling down and a $60,000 problem, and I don't know how I'm going to feed him next month, and I don't—" "Adrian." "What?" "I didn't ask you for anything." He stopped. She looked at him across the table. Her eyes were a brown so dark it was almost black, and there was something very steady in them, and for a second he felt the way he used to feel in his first few months back from Iraq, when somebody would say something kind to him and he would not know what to do with it because kindness had become a foreign language he had forgotten how to speak. "I know," he said. "I know you didn't. I brought you a casserole. I changed a light bulb. I helped you take down a railing. Those things don't come with a bill. I know. I don't need you to explain yourself. Okay? I just need you to tell me what's in the basement." He looked up. "What?" The basement. Dell told you to go through your dad's papers, right? That's the next step. How did you? Because that's what he told my aunt, and she didn't want to do it alone, and I ended up doing most of it with her, and it sucked. So, what's in the basement? A file box, I think. Okay, when do you want to start? Adrian. Yeah. It's not a hard question. He took a breath. He let it out. After school, he said. I enrolled Noah yesterday. He's starting Monday, but today he's got a half day. I have to pick him up at noon. After that we could start tonight. I close the shop at 6. I'll come over at 7. Bring pizza? I'll get it. No, I'll get it. You already bought IGA tulips? You've suffered enough. He laughed. It surprised him, the laugh. She did not react, just drank her coffee, as if his laughing were a small, ordinary event, and not the first one of the day. He finished his coffee and went home. What? He spent the afternoon in the basement. The basement was worse than the house above it. The single bulb at the bottom of the stairs cast a hard yellow light that did not reach the corners. There was a workbench his father had built in the 80s, still covered with coffee cans full of screws. There were stacks of old magazines, Popular Mechanics, Field and Stream, bound with twine and going soft at the edges. There was a dehumidifier that had died at some point and been left where it died. And along the back wall, under a tarp, there were 3 cardboard file boxes marked in black marker in his father's handwriting: taxes, house, and personal. Adrian pulled the tarp off. Dust rose up in a cloud and caught in his throat. He carried the boxes up the stairs one at a time. He set them on the kitchen floor because the kitchen floor was the biggest flat surface in the house. Then he took Noah with him to the school for the half-day pickup, and the teacher, a young woman named Ms. Pritchard with a lanyard full of stickers, introduced herself and said Noah had done great and had made a friend named Eli who had invited him over on Saturday. Adrian did not know how to handle the Saturday part, but he nodded and smiled and said thank you and drove his son home. At 6:58, headlights swept the living room window. Adrian looked out. Ivy was getting out of a small silver truck with a pizza box balanced on top of what looked like a grocery bag and a 6-pack of something. He met her at the door. I brought soda because I didn't know what you like, she said. I also brought beer because I assumed. You assumed right. I figured. They ate at the kitchen counter, the 3 of them, standing up because Adrian had not bought chairs yet. Noah told Ivy about Eli and about Miss Pritchard and about the fact that the school library had a book about dragons that he wanted but could not get because it was checked out. And Ivy listened the way she had listened the first night, crouched down at eye level, nodding at the right places, asking follow-up questions. Adrian watched the 2 of them from the other side of the counter and thought about Megan for a second, and what Megan would have said if she had seen this, and then he stopped thinking about Megan. After Noah went to bed, they started on the boxes. Rules, Ivy said, rolling up her sleeves. We each take a box. We make piles. Pile 1, bills and statements from banks. Pile 2, anything with a signature on it. Pile 3, anything that looks weird. Weird how? Weird like it doesn't belong. Weird like your dad wasn't the kind of guy who would have kept it. You'll know it when you see it. Okay? They worked on the kitchen floor with the pizza box as a communal trash receptacle. The personal box had mostly nothing in it. Christmas cards going back to 1994, some photographs of Adrian and his brother as boys, a bundle of his mother's recipes in her neat blue handwriting, an Army discharge certificate. Adrian sat for a long time holding the discharge certificate before he put it in a small separate pile of his own. The house box had the deed, the original mortgage paperwork from 1979, the satisfaction of mortgage from 2004 when the loan was paid off, property tax receipts going back a decade, and a thick folder of repair estimates for things his father had thought about doing and never done. Adrian read through it carefully. He found no loan. He found no paperwork that mentioned Pinnacle Asset Recovery. He found no signature by his father on any document dated after 2014. The taxes box was where they found it. It was Ivy who pulled it out. A single sheet of paper, folded in thirds, tucked between 2 state tax returns from 2018 and 2020. She unfolded it on the kitchen floor between them and read it silently, then passed it across. Adrian. What? Look at this. It was a loan application. It was dated March 14th, 2019. It was made out to Pinnacle Asset Recovery Financial Services, LLC, in the amount of $42,000, secured against the property at 1412 Maple Street, in the name of Douglas M. Cole. It was signed. Adrian looked at the signature. He looked at it for a long time. "What?" Ivy said. "That's not his signature." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." "How sure are you?" "Ivy, I am sure." She leaned over to look. She put her head next to his, so close he could smell her shampoo, and she studied the signature under the kitchen light. "It's close," she said. "It's not bad, but look at the D. The D is wrong." "What?" "The loop. His D was tall. There's a lowercase d on the tax return next to it. Look." He looked. She was right. The loop on the D in the tax return, in his father's actual signature, was tall and narrow and sat up straight. The loop on the D in the loan application was rounder, shorter, leaning to the right like it was trying too hard. "You have a good eye," he said. "I did this for 7 months." "Right. It's easier to spot when you know what to look for." He sat back on his heels. He felt the thing in his stomach again, the surrounded feeling, but different now. There was something under it, something that had not been there yesterday. It was anger. "Somebody did this to him," he said. "Yeah." "Somebody took my dad's name and put it on this." "Yeah." "Who?" That is the question Dell is going to ask. "Ivy." "Yeah." "My dad was 71 when he died. He had a bad heart. He'd had the bypass in 2017. "I know. If he had known somebody forged his name to this, I know. If somebody took $50,000 out of my dad's house without him knowing, that killed him." She did not say anything. She just looked at him, and then she reached across the pizza box and put her hand flat on the kitchen floor next to his, not touching, just close. It was a gesture he did not have a name for. Nobody had ever made that particular gesture toward him before. He put his hand on top of hers. She did not move. They stayed like that for maybe a full minute. Then he lifted his hand. "Okay," he said. "Okay." "Yeah." "We take this to Dell in the morning." "Yeah." First thing. First thing. She gathered up the pizza box and carried it out to the trash. He sat on the kitchen floor with the forged loan application on his lap and looked at his father's name written in somebody else's hand, and for the first time in 8 months, he thought about his father not as a weight he was carrying, but as a person he had loved. The next morning, Delbert Harmon whistled long and low and took his glasses off and looked at the paper from 6 inches away. "Well," he said, "that's pretty." "That's what I said." "I mean, it's a pretty forgery, not a good one, but a pretty one. Somebody took their time." "Can you do something with it?" "I can do a lot with it. We'll need a handwriting expert. I know a woman in Charlotte who does this for a living. We'll pull your dad's checks from the last 3 years of his life and we'll compare. We'll also subpoena the notary who supposedly witnessed this signature, because look at the bottom." Adrian looked. There was a notary stamp at the bottom of the page. The name in the middle of the stamp was a Randall Pope. "Randall Pope," Harmon said, "hasn't been a licensed notary in this state since 2016. "Are you serious?" "I'm serious as a heart attack. I looked him up this morning after your call. He had his commission pulled for, and I love this, for signing documents he hadn't witnessed. It's a small world, son. A lot of people in the fraud business recycle their paper. So what do? We do 3 things. 1, we file a motion to stay the foreclosure on the grounds of pending investigation. 2, we file a formal complaint with the State Attorney General's office regarding Pinnacle Asset Recovery. 3, you go to the county recorder's office and you pull every document ever filed against this property and you bring me copies." "How long does all that take?" "The motion to stay I can file this afternoon. The rest?" Harmon shrugged. "Weeks. Maybe a month or 2, maybe more. But the motion buys us time. You're not going to lose the house in 30 days. "Okay. You hearing me?" "Yes, sir." "What'd I say about sir?" "Sorry." "Go. I got work to do." On the way out, Adrian stopped at the top of the stairs. "Mr. Harmon." "Yeah." "What's it going to cost?" Harmon looked at him for a long time. "Son," he said, Your dad gave me a dining table about 15 years ago. Cherry wood, real nice. He built it himself. He didn't ask me for anything, but I always figured I owed him. Let's call this me paying him back. I can't. I didn't ask. Sir, out. Adrian went down the stairs with his eyes stinging. He sat in the truck in the hardware store parking lot for a full minute before he turned the key, and when he did, he realized he had forgotten to buckle his seatbelt, and he was shaking. That afternoon, Ivy came over after the shop closed and helped him replace the porch post. She had changed out of her work clothes into the same jeans and a different flannel, green this time, and she had brought a second pry bar and a bag of galvanized nails. She showed him how to check the load bearing, how to prop the porch roof with a 2x4 before pulling the old post out, how to set the new post plumb with the level she had brought from her own garage. She did it all without making him feel stupid, the same way she had the first night, and he noticed again how unusual that was. "Where did you learn all this?" he said when they were taking a break. "My dad. I told you." "You were—" "I was a daddy's girl. I followed him around from when I was 6. And he was a carpenter. He built houses like this one, same vintage. He'd have known how to fix this place. He'd have loved this place. He used to say nobody built porches like they did in the 40s. Yeah? Yeah. She took a long drink from her water bottle. She was sitting on the top step with her legs stretched out, and there was sawdust in her hair, and the late afternoon sun was doing something soft to the side of her face, and Adrian had to look away. "Ivy." "Yeah." "Can I ask you a personal question?" "You can ask." "Why are you not—" He stopped. "Why are you here in this town? You're what, 28? 26. You're 26. You run a flower shop in a town of 3,200 people. You have a truck and a tool kit, and you can frame a porch. What's the story?" She was quiet for a long time. He thought he had crossed a line. He was about to apologize when she spoke. "I was going to get married," she said, 3 years ago. I was in Charleston. My fiancé was an investment guy. I don't even remember what he did exactly. Something with mergers. He was from a family in Charleston, the kind of family where everybody's named after a dead relative. His mother did not like me. I can't imagine why. Neither could she, actually, which was part of the problem. She couldn't articulate it, and it drove her crazy. She turned the water bottle in her hands. I was 23. I was going to be a Charleston wife. I was going to wear pearls and run fundraisers and have babies named after dead relatives, and I was going to be very well provided for. And then my aunt got sick. The aunt in this house. Yeah, she got the forged loan thing, and on top of that she got pancreatic cancer, and the diagnosis was bad. 8 months, they said. My fiancé wanted me to hire her a nurse. I told him I was coming here to take care of her. He said, fine, 6 weeks. I said it wasn't going to be 6 weeks. He said, how long was it going to be? I said, as long as she needed. He said, she stopped. What did he say? He said she was going to die anyway, and I should let her die and come home. Adrian did not say anything. He didn't say it meanly. That's the thing. He said it like he was doing the math, like he'd thought about it and he was explaining the answer to me. She shrugged. So I gave the ring back, and I came home. And she died in February, and I kept the shop open, and here I am. Ivy. It was a long time ago. Not that long. Long enough. Do you miss it? Charleston? Yeah. She thought about it. I miss the ocean, she said. I don't miss any of the people. Have you? Has he called, you mean? Yeah. Sometimes. He calls when he's been drinking. What do you say? I don't pick up. He looked at her. She was looking at the street, at the big oak on the opposite corner, and there was something in her expression that was not quite pain, but the shape of a pain long sat with, the way a chair wears grooves in a wood floor. I'm sorry, he said. Don't be. It worked out. Yeah? I wouldn't be sitting on your porch otherwise. She said it lightly. She did not look at him when she said it. He did not know what to do with it, so he didn't do anything with it. He just sat there, and the sun moved another degree down the sky, and after a while she stood up and brushed off her jeans and picked up the level. Come on, she said. We got a post to set. They set the post. They hung the new section of railing in rough, using scrap lumber Ivy had pulled out of her own garage, and they agreed they would come back to it the next day with proper balusters from the hardware store. They cleaned up their tools. The sky was going pink at the edges by then, and Noah had wandered out at some point and sat on the top step with his rabbit, and Adrian suggested hot dogs for dinner, and Noah looked at Ivy and said very seriously that hot dogs were not really dinner. Well, Ivy said, equally serious, that is true, but sometimes they are. That's what I said. So did your dad. Dad said it wasn't, but also it was. That tracks. Ivy, are you staying? She looked at Adrian. Stay, Adrian said. Yeah? Yeah, I think we have... He thought about it. I think we have buns. High praise. It's a lot coming from me. I'll stay. They ate hot dogs on the front porch with the new post still raw and unpainted and smelling like fresh pine. Noah told Ivy a long, tangled story about a dream he had had the night before that involved a shark, a bicycle, and his grandmother, who was still alive and who lived in Akron and whom he saw twice a year. Ivy listened. She asked questions. She let Noah correct her when she got a detail wrong. Adrian sat at the other end of the porch step and watched them and ate his hot dog and tried not to think about what it would feel like to get used to this. After Ivy went home and after Noah was in bed, Adrian sat on the porch alone. The night was cool. The crickets were out. Across the street, her lights were on in the kitchen. He watched her shape move behind the curtain for a while. Then he made himself stop watching. He thought about Megan. He thought, you promised Noah a family. He thought, you failed at the first one. He thought, do not start wanting anything you cannot have. He sat on the porch for a long time with that. The next morning, his phone rang while he was making Noah's oatmeal. He did not recognize the number. He let it go to voicemail. It rang again. He let it go a second time. It rang a third time, and this time he picked up. Adrian Cole, he said. Adrian? He knew the voice. It had been 8 months. He still knew the voice. Megan. Yeah, hi. How'd you get this number? Your brother gave it to me. Mike gave you my number. I told him it was an emergency. Is it? Adrian. He turned the burner off. He stepped out onto the back porch and closed the sliding door behind him so Noah would not hear. The backyard was overgrown and full of morning light. A cardinal was making a racket in the lilac bush. Is Noah hurt? He said. No, Noah's fine. Then what? Can you not be like that? Can we talk? I'm listening. Adrian. I'm listening, Megan. What? She took a breath. He could hear her take it. He knew the sound. He had lived with the sound for 7 years. I'm coming out there, she said. What? This weekend. I'm flying into Raleigh Saturday. I'm renting a car. I'm going to come see him. Megan, don't. You don't have visitation this weekend. I know. You have visitation in 2 weeks. I know, Adrian. I know what the agreement says. Then I need to see him sooner. Why? Because I'm his mother. Megan, because I'm his mother, and I haven't seen him in 3 weeks, and I wake up every morning in an apartment that used to have his stuff in it, and his room is empty, and Megan, you made the agreement. You signed it. You said, I know what I said. You said you needed a few months to figure things out. You said Noah should be with me while you... Adrian. While you figured out what you wanted, that's what you said. I know what I said. So, I want to come see him. He stood on the back porch and looked at the cardinal and felt something moving in his chest that he did not want to name. He had known this call was coming. He had known it from the minute he loaded the truck in Ohio, from the minute he turned the key in his father's front door. He had known. For how long, he said. Just the weekend. Megan. What? Just the weekend. Yes. You swear to me. Adrian, swear to me, Megan. Just the weekend. I'll stay at a hotel. I'll get a room somewhere. I just want to see him. Okay. Okay? Okay, Saturday. Come to the house at 10. We'll see what he wants to do. Thank you. Don't thank me. Adrian. What? I know I did this. Yeah. I know I'm the one who... Megan, I have to go. Noah's oatmeal is going to burn. Okay? Saturday at 10. Yeah. He hung up. He stood on the back porch for a long time. The cardinal kept up its noise. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked. He could hear, faintly, the sound of Noah singing to himself in the kitchen, the particular tuneless humming he did when he was waiting for food, and Adrian closed his eyes and pressed his forehead against the sliding door and counted to 10, and then he counted to 10 again. Then he went back inside and stirred the oatmeal. "Who was that?" Noah asked from his seat at the counter. "Just somebody from work, bud." "You don't have work." "Somebody about work?" "Oh." He spooned the oatmeal into a bowl. He put a swirl of brown sugar on top, the way Noah liked it, and he set the bowl in front of his son, and he sat down across from him, and he watched him eat. His hands were shaking again. He put them under the counter so Noah would not see. He told Ivy that afternoon. She had come over to help him with the balusters, and she had taken one look at his face in the driveway and said, "What happened?" "Megan's coming on Saturday." "Megan." "My ex-wife." "I know who Megan is." "Where?" "Here, the house." "For how long?" "She says the weekend." "Do you believe her?" "I don't know." They stood in the driveway. She was holding a brown paper bag from the hardware store full of galvanized nails, and she was looking at him with an expression that was carefully neutral, the way people looked when they were working hard not to react. "Okay," she said. "Okay. What do you need?" "I don't know." "Do you want me to be here on Saturday?" Or do you want me to be not here on Saturday? Either one is fine. I just need to know." He looked at her. He did not know the answer to the question. Part of him wanted her at the house on Saturday because he did not want to face Megan alone. Part of him knew that Megan, who had antennae for these kinds of things, would read the presence of another woman across the street as a provocation and would use it. Part of him was aware that whatever was happening between him and Ivy, whatever was not yet happening between him and Ivy, was so new and so fragile that he could not bear to hand it to Megan to break. "Not here," he said. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. That's an answer." "I don't want her to—" "Adrian." "Yeah." "I get it. You don't have to explain." "Okay. I'll be around. If you need me. After." "Thank you." "Don't thank me." "Ivy." "Yeah." She's going to try to take him. She set the bag of nails down on the porch step. She crossed her arms. She looked at him steadily, the way she had looked at him the first night. "Yeah," she said. "I know." "You knew?" "Adrian, a woman who leaves her 6-year-old with her ex-husband for 8 months and suddenly decides she needs to see him this weekend. I knew. I can't lose him. I know. I brought him here. I brought him to this house. If she— Adrian. Yeah. You are not going to lose him. You are his father. He loves you. He is happy here. If she takes you to court, any judge in the state is going to see that. You don't know that. I know enough." "Ivy?" "What?" "Thank you." I said stop thanking me. "I know." "You keep doing it anyway." "I know." She picked the bag of nails back up. She walked up the porch steps. At the top, she stopped and looked back. "Come on," she said. "Let's build something. Working with your hands helps." They worked on the balusters until the sun went down. Noah came out and handed them tools and narrated to his rabbit what they were doing, and Adrian tried, for the length of that afternoon, to stay inside it. The sound of the hammer, the smell of the fresh pine, the look of his son sitting on the porch step with his legs swinging, the shape of Ivy in profile against the fading light. He tried to stay inside the hour, and mostly he failed, and his mind kept sliding to Saturday like a record with a scratch in it. But for minutes at a time he succeeded. For minutes at a time he was just a man on a porch with a hammer and a kid and a woman he did not yet know how to name. And the porch was getting better under their hands, and the house above it was still standing, and the mail on the kitchen counter was, for the first time in 2 days, just mail. When Ivy left that night, she paused at the bottom of the steps the way she always did. "Adrian." "Yeah." "Whatever happened Saturday?" "Yeah." "You're not alone in this." He did not trust himself to answer. He nodded. She nodded back. She crossed the street in the purple dark, and he watched her until she turned her own porch light on and went inside. And then he picked up the last of the scrap lumber from the driveway and carried it around to the side of the house. He thought, carrying it. She said whatever happens. He thought, she did not say what I thought she would say. He thought, Do not start wanting anything you cannot have. But he was already wanting it. He had been wanting it for 2 days. He just had not let himself notice until now. He stacked the lumber against the side of the house. He went inside. He locked the door behind him. He went up to his son's room and sat on the edge of the sleeping bag and watched Noah sleep with his rabbit under his chin. And he thought about Saturday, and he thought about the woman in the blue house across the street, and he thought about a forged signature in somebody else's handwriting, and he thought about his father. He thought, I have to win this. He thought, I do not know how. He sat there until the moon came up over the roofline. Then he got into his own sleeping bag on the floor beside his son, and he stared at the ceiling for a long time before sleep finally came for him. Saturday came too fast and not fast enough. Adrian was up at 5. He made coffee. He stood at the kitchen window and watched the light come into the backyard, slow and gray, and he drank the coffee without tasting it. He had rehearsed the morning in his head every hour on the hour since Thursday, playing Megan's possible lines and his possible answers, running through every version of the conversation he could think of. And he still had no idea what was going to happen when she stepped onto his porch. He cleaned the house. Not the whole house. The whole house was beyond cleaning, but the kitchen and the living room and the downstairs bathroom. He wiped down counters. He swept the front hall. He took the trash out. He straightened the row of shoes by the door, and then he unstraightened them because Megan would read a straight row of shoes as trying too hard. At 7, he woke Noah. Bud. What? Hey, up. It's Saturday. I know, Bud. Mom's coming today. Noah opened his eyes. He was slow to wake, always had been, and for a second he just looked at the ceiling, processing. Then he sat up. Mom. Yeah. Here? Yeah. In this house? Yeah. Noah considered this. His face did not do what Adrian had expected it to do. There was no delight, there was no panic. There was the same small, cautious assessment the boy had given the house itself that first day, the same measured watching. For how long? Noah said. Just the weekend, Bud. She wants to see you. Okay. You want to wear your dinosaur shirt? The green one? Yeah. Okay. They ate breakfast. Noah picked at his toast. He was not a big breakfast eater under ordinary circumstances, and today he ate even less. Adrian did not push him. He watched him, though, the way he always watched him lately, and he saw that Noah was watching him back, and he tried to look calm, and he suspected he was failing at it. At 9:45, Adrian did a last walkthrough. He put out a fresh dish towel. He put the casserole dish Ivy had given him, washed, dried, ready to return, still sitting on the counter, into the cabinet where Megan would not see it. He did not examine this decision. At 9:58, a rental sedan pulled up at the curb. Megan got out. He watched her through the front window because he did not want to be standing at the door when she came up the walk. She was tanner than she had been 8 months ago. She had gotten her hair done. It was shorter, professionally layered, the kind of haircut you paid $300 for. She was wearing a white blouse and dark jeans and the small gold earrings her mother had given her for her 25th birthday. She looked, he thought, the way she always looked when she was going into a meeting. She looked prepared. She did not look like someone who had missed her son. He opened the door before she knocked. Adrian. Megan. Hi. Come in. She came in. She stood in the front hall and looked around the way people looked at houses they were thinking about buying. Her eyes went up the stairs, along the wall with the water-stained ceiling, across the empty living room with the 2 folding chairs Adrian had bought at a yard sale and the cardboard box he was using as a coffee table. Oh, Adrian, she said softly. Don't. I didn't say anything. You said, oh, Adrian, don't. Where is he? Kitchen. She walked past him. He followed. In the kitchen, Noah was sitting on the counter because there were still no chairs, with his legs swinging and his rabbit beside him, and he looked up when she came in and his whole face went still. Hi, baby, she said. Hi, Mom. She crossed the kitchen and put her arms around him. She held him tight. Too tight, Adrian thought. Noah was not a tight hugger. He was a pat-on-the-back hugger, and Adrian watched his son endure the hug with the good manners of a child who had been raised to be polite to his mother. Oh, baby, let me look at you. You got so big. I'm the same. You got so tan. We're outside a lot. I missed you so much. I missed you too, Mom. He said it the way kids say things they know they're supposed to say. He did not look at his father when he said it. Adrian leaned against the doorframe and crossed his arms over his chest and did not speak. "You want to go out for breakfast?" Megan said. "I thought I'd take you somewhere. There's a pancake place on the way in. I saw it from the road." We ate. "Oh, we had toast. Are you still hungry?" "A little." "Let's go get pancakes then, just you and me." Noah looked at Adrian. "Your mom's here to see you, bud," Adrian said. "You should go." "Okay." "Get your shoes." Noah slid off the counter. He picked up his rabbit, then set it back down, then picked it up again, then looked at his mother. "You can bring beans," Megan said. "Okay." He went to get his shoes. Adrian and Megan stood in the kitchen without him for the first time in 8 months. "He looks good," she said. "He is good. He's quieter. He's the same." Adrian: "He's the same, Megan. You haven't seen him in 3 weeks. He's the same. He's quieter with me. He's not sure what you're doing here." She turned. She leaned back against the counter and crossed her arms, mirroring him. And for a second they looked like two people who still knew each other very well, because of course they did. Because 7 years was a long time. "I'm his mother," she said. "I know who you are. I'm here because I'm his mother." Megan: "What? Let's not. Let's let him have his breakfast. We can talk later. Okay?" "Okay." Noah came back with his shoes on the wrong feet. Adrian knelt and switched them without saying anything. He hugged his son, quick, the way he always hugged him when he was going somewhere he did not want him to go. "Have fun, bud." "Okay." "Pancakes are good." "Okay." "I love you." "I love you too, Dad." Megan watched this exchange without saying anything. She took Noah's hand. She led him out the front door. Adrian stood at the window and watched them get into the rental sedan. He watched her buckle Noah into the back, because of course she did, because it was legally required, because she was Megan, and she did not break laws in small ways. He watched her get in the front. He watched the car pull away from the curb. He stood at the window for a long time after the car was gone. Then he went into the bathroom and put his hands on the edge of the sink and made himself breathe. They were gone 3 hours. The first hour he cleaned the already clean kitchen. The second hour he went into the basement and moved boxes around. The third hour he sat on the front porch and did nothing, just watched the street, and he saw Ivy's curtain move once in an upstairs window across the way, and he saw it fall back, and he knew she was watching out for him, and he did not know what to do with how much it meant. The rental sedan came back at 1:15. Noah got out first. He had a small white bag from the pancake place. He had a smear of something pink on his cheek. Strawberry, maybe. He climbed the steps and came up to Adrian and leaned against his leg without saying anything. "Hey, bud." "Hi." "How were the pancakes?" "Good." "What else did you do?" "We went to a store." Adrian felt it before he saw her. He looked up. Megan was coming up the walk with a small shopping bag in her hand. She was walking the way she walked when she was about to deliver a prepared statement. "Adrian, can we talk for a minute?" "Yeah." "Inside?" "Yeah." To Noah. "Bud, go upstairs. I'll come up in a minute." "Okay." Noah went upstairs. Adrian heard the third step creak. He stood on the porch and held the door open. Megan walked past him. She set the shopping bag on the kitchen counter. She did not sit. "I'm going to say something," she said, "and I need you to let me finish." "Megan, I need you to let me finish, Adrian." "Okay." She took a breath. "I want him back," she said. He did not say anything. "I want him back for longer than the weekend. I want to take him home with me. I want to go back to the custody arrangement we had before you. Before all this, I want my son." He waited. "I know what I said 8 months ago. I know I asked for time. I know I said he'd be better with you for a while. I meant it when I said it, Adrian. I was not okay. You know I was not okay. I know. I'm better now. I've been in therapy for 5 months. I got promoted. I have an apartment with a real bedroom for him. I got a car. I've been doing the work." "Okay. And I came here and I saw this." She gestured at the kitchen, at the sleeping bag still visible through the doorway, at the cardboard box coffee table. I saw him sleeping on the floor, Adrian. I saw him eating toast off a paper plate at a counter. He's 6. Megan, I said, let me finish. Okay, I'm not here to attack you. I'm not. I know you love him. I know you're trying. But look at this, Adrian. Look at this. It's not what he needs. He needs a room. He needs a routine. He needs a school he can stay at. He needs me. She stopped. She waited for him to speak. Are you done? He said. Yes. Okay. He took his own breath. No, he said. Adrian, let me finish, Megan. You said let you finish. Now let me finish. Okay. He has a room. He's going to have a bed in it by next weekend. The school he's in now is a good school. His teacher is wonderful. He has a friend named Eli who has already invited him over. He eats, he sleeps, he laughs. He is 6 years old and he is fine. He's sleeping on the floor for 2 more nights. I'm buying the bed on Monday. You can't even afford a bed yet, and you're telling me, I can afford a bed, Megan. I'm buying him a bed I took time to pick out. That's not the same as can't afford. Adrian, you left him with me. You said, and I remember this very clearly because I wrote it down. You said, I am not in a place to be anyone's mother right now. That's what you said. Those were your words. I know what I said. You said you needed a year. You said to the lawyer you needed a year. We made that agreement 4 months ago. I know, but I'm ready. You're ready because you got a promotion, Megan. You're not ready because of Noah. You're ready because of you. That is not fair. It's what's happening. Adrian, why now, Megan? Why this weekend? Why not the scheduled weekend in 2 weeks? Why the ambush? She did not answer right away. I'm seeing somebody, she said. He stared at her. What? I'm seeing someone. It's starting to be serious. He wants to meet Noah. Oh, don't. No, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Adrian, don't be like that. It's been 8 months. You knew I was going to... Yeah, no, of course, I knew. He's a good man. He has a daughter. She's 8. She asked if she could meet Noah. I thought, Megan, I thought it would be good for him. I thought if we could just go back to what we had. If I could have him with me during the week, and you had him on weekends like it was before. Stop. Adrian. Stop for a second. He turned around. He faced the sink. He gripped the edge of it. He looked at the coffee ring on the counter that he had failed to wipe down that morning, and he looked at the window above the sink and the oak tree in the backyard and the green of the leaves moving in the wind, and he made himself not say any of the things that were trying to come out of his mouth. When he turned back, she was crying. Not loud, not performative, just tears moving down her face in a steady way, and she was not wiping them. I shouldn't have come like this, she said. No. I know. I'm not doing this over a weekend. I'm not renegotiating custody on the kitchen counter of a house you haven't been in for 24 hours because you have a new boyfriend who wants to meet our son. That is what it is. Adrian, Megan, we made an agreement. It has 10 more months on it. He is with me for those 10 months. If you want to go back to court in July to renegotiate, we go back to court, through lawyers, not like this. He misses me. I know he misses you. Does he ever ask about me? He closed his eyes. Yes, Megan. He asks about you. What does he say? He asks when he's going to see you next. He asks if you're coming to his birthday. He asks if you're lonely in the apartment without him. She sat down at the counter. She put her face in her hands. I am, she said into her hands. I am lonely without him. I know. I didn't know I was going to be this lonely. I know. Adrian, I'm sorry. I made a bad choice. When I left, when I said I couldn't, when I said I wasn't ready, I made a bad choice. It wasn't a choice, Megan. You were sick. That's what you said. That's what the doctor said. You weren't choosing anything. But I should have... Megan, I should have been better. He's 6. I'm missing this whole year of him being 6. Yeah, you are. I don't want to miss it anymore. I know. He sat down across from her. He did not know what to do. He had rehearsed every version of this conversation except this one. He had not prepared for the version where she broke down at his kitchen counter and told him the truth about missing her son. He had expected attack. He had prepared for attack. He had not expected grief. I can't give him back to you this weekend, Megan. I know I won't. Not because I want to keep him from you, because we made an agreement, and because he's settling in here, and because if we start changing things every 3 weeks, he's going to break. I know. We can talk about... He stopped. He considered. We can talk about more visits, longer visits. We can talk about you coming out more than once a month, if you want. I'm not going to stop you from seeing him. I'd like that. But he stays here. Okay? For now. Okay. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. She looked up at the ceiling, at the water stain, then down at her hands. What did you get him? Adrian said. What? In the bag. The shopping bag. Oh. She laughed, a small wet laugh. It's stupid. It's a pair of pajamas with tractors on them. I saw them in the store and he likes tractors, and he'll love them. Will he? Yeah, Meg, he will. She looked at him. It was the first time she had really looked at him since she had walked into the house. He saw her whole face, tired under the makeup, thinner than it had been, and he saw the woman he had married in it, under everything else that had happened, and he did not love her anymore, not the way he had, but he still knew her, and he still understood. And he felt, for the first time in a year, a small, clean sorrow that was not anger. Are you okay, Adrian? Yeah. Here? I'm getting there. This house. It's a lot of work. Who's helping you? He thought about lying. He did not know why he thought about lying. Megan would find out eventually. Noah would tell her or mention Ivy's name or draw a picture of the three of them on a porch, because kids did things like that. There was no strategic advantage to lying. He thought about lying anyway, out of an old reflex he did not admire in himself. A neighbor, he said. A neighbor. Yeah, across the street. Her aunt used to live in that house. She's been helping with repairs. She knows carpentry. A woman. Yes. Okay. It's not what you're thinking. I'm not thinking anything. You're thinking something. I'm thinking my son has a woman across the street who is helping with repairs. That's what I'm thinking. Megan. What? Don't. Please don't. I'm not going to... Don't. Okay. She stood up. She picked up the shopping bag. Can I take him for a dinner tonight? She said. Just dinner. I'll have him back by 8. I got a hotel in Fayetteville. Yeah. I'll come back in the morning. I'll take him to breakfast. Then I'll drive to the airport. Okay? Adrian? What? I am sorry for how I came in here. I had a speech ready. I thought if I just said it straight. I know. I had speeches too. Did you? About 10 of them. Which one did you use? None of them. She almost smiled. She did not quite, but she almost. Call him down, she said. I'll take him now. When they were gone, Noah waving from the back of the rental sedan, Megan's hand on the wheel, the car pulling slow down the street, as if she were reluctant to leave, Adrian stood on the porch and looked across the street and saw Ivy's front door open. She came out onto her porch. She was wearing the same jeans and the flannel with the red paint stain, and she stood on her porch and looked at him across the space between them. And she did not wave, and she did not cross, and he did not wave either, and neither of them moved. After a while, he went down his porch steps. She came down hers. They met in the middle of the street, which was empty, and she did not ask him how it had gone. You want to come over, she said. Yeah? Come on. They went to her house. She made him a sandwich without asking him what he wanted on it. Just built something from what was in her fridge, ham and cheese and pickles and mustard, and she put it in front of him at her kitchen table, and she sat down across from him, and she watched him eat without saying anything. She's not taking him, he said finally. Okay. She wanted to. She wanted to take him back with her today. I said no. Okay. She has a boyfriend. She wants him to meet Noah. Of course she does. I told her no. You did right. Did I? Yeah, you did. He put the sandwich down. He had eaten half of it without tasting it. She cried, he said. Oh. She hasn't cried in front of me in 4 years, not even at the end. She didn't cry at the end, she just announced. Adrian. She cried about missing him. She misses him. She's allowed to. I know. That doesn't mean she gets him back. I know. You know both of those things, right? You're not feeling guilty for keeping him here, are you? I don't know what I'm feeling, Ivy. Okay? He put his head in his hands. He did not cry. He had not cried since he had been 19 years old at a memorial service in Ramadi, and he was not going to start now. But he sat at her kitchen table with his head in his hands for a long minute, and she did not move, and she did not touch him, and she did not speak, and the quiet of her kitchen was one of the best things that had happened to him since he had come back to this town. When he looked up, she was still watching him. Her face was calm. I saw her leave, she said, out the upstairs window. She has good hair. He laughed. It came out broken. She does, he said. She has good hair and a good car. Rental. Still, good instincts on the rental. Ivy. Yeah. Thank you for not... Stop. For not making it a thing. I said stop. Okay? Eat your sandwich. He ate the sandwich. She made him a second one. He ate that too. When he was done, she took the plate and set it in the sink, and she leaned against the counter with her arms folded and looked at him. Del called me this morning, she said. He looked up. What? He called me at the shop. He had some paperwork he wanted me to give you, something about the handwriting expert. The lady in Charlotte wrote him back. And? She said it's an obvious forgery. She'll testify. Ivy. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's what we needed. I know. Why didn't you lead with that? Because your ex-wife had just been in your house. I wasn't going to lead with that. He stared at her. She stared back. He could have laughed again, but he didn't, because the laughing was a door he could not afford to open, not with everything else going on inside of him. Ivy. Adrian. I have to go get Noah at 8. Okay. But until then, you want to walk somewhere. Yeah. Come on. She put her boots on. She grabbed a jacket. They went out the back of her house. Her backyard was small and tidy and had a small stone path leading out to an alley that Adrian had not known was there. And they walked through the alley to a cross street and followed it down to a park he remembered from high school, a park that had been 3 blocks from his house his whole life, and had once had a rusted-out merry-go-round and now had a new playground and a gazebo with flowers planted around the base. They did not talk, mostly. They just walked. She walked with her hands in her pockets and her head down, and he walked beside her with his hands in his own pockets, and his mind going slower than it had gone all day. The park was empty except for a woman with a dog at the far end, and the sun was dropping behind the row of houses on the west side, and the air smelled like cut grass. You used to come here, she said. How did you know? Everybody used to come here. My dad used to take me. We lived 2 blocks that way. She pointed. In the White House with the green shutters. I know the house. You do? Yeah. I had a paper route. I delivered to that house. Wait, were you the paper kid? I was the paper kid. With the bike with the yellow bag over the handlebars? Yeah. Oh, that's... She laughed. You're the paper kid. My dad used to tip you in quarters. He said you were the most reliable paper kid we'd ever had. He gave me $20 for Christmas one year. I remember. I thought I was rich. He loved paper kids. I remember him. I remember big guy, mustache. That's him. He used to wave every time I came up the walk. He waved at everybody. Ivy? Yeah. I might have delivered your paper when you were 6. I'm aware of the timeline, Adrian. Just observing. Please don't observe it again. Noted. They walked another block. She shook her head at him twice, smiling, and he felt something in his chest easing that he had not been able to ease all day. By the time they got back to his porch, the sun was almost down. She stopped at the bottom of the steps. Go get your kid, she said. Yeah. I'll be around tomorrow, if you want to work on the porch. I want to. Okay. She went back across the street. She did not turn, this time, at the bottom of her steps. She just went in, and the light came on, and he watched the shape of her through the kitchen window for a second before he got in the truck and drove to the restaurant Megan had texted him the name of. He got there early. He sat in the parking lot. He watched the door of the place, a small Italian restaurant on the north end of town, until Megan and Noah came out at 7:58 on the dot, and Noah saw him and broke away from his mother and ran across the lot to the truck, and Adrian got out and lifted him up. "Dad? Hey, bud. I had spaghetti. I heard." Mom cried again. Adrian looked over his son's shoulder. Megan was standing at the curb with her arms crossed, watching them. She was not crying now. She was watching. "I know, bud." "Why does she keep crying?" "She's just sad, bud. Sometimes people are sad. It's okay." "Can we go home now?" "Yeah." "Okay." He set Noah down. He buckled him into the truck. He walked over to Megan. "He's done," he said. "He's asleep on his feet." "I know. You want to say goodbye?" She looked past him at the truck. Noah was already leaning against the window with his eyes half closed. "I said goodbye in the restaurant," she said. "He's done." "Okay?" "Adrian." "Yeah. Thank you for letting me come." "Megan, I know I didn't give you a choice." "You could have." "I know. Next time give me a choice." "I will." "And bring the boyfriend up on the phone before you bring him up at dinner." "I will." She put her hand on his arm just above the elbow. She let it rest there for a second. Then she took it away. She got in her rental car. She drove off. He stood in the parking lot until her taillights were gone. Then he went back to the truck and he got in, and Noah was already asleep, head against the window, rabbit in his lap, and he drove his son home without the radio on, just the sound of the tires on the road, and he felt a low, tired settle in him that was something like peace. Babasi. Sunday morning, Megan came at 9. She took Noah out for breakfast. She had him back at 11. She hugged him at the curb, long, and she did not come inside the house, and she waved at Adrian from the driver's seat and drove away. Noah came up the walk. Adrian was on the porch. "She's going to come again," Noah said. "Yeah, bud. In 3 weeks." "That's right. She said I could call her." "You can." "She said I could call her any time." "Okay, that's good." "Dad." "Yeah. I don't want to go live with her." Adrian looked at his son. Noah was looking up at him with the 6-year-old's perfect seriousness, and Adrian felt something move inside him that he did not have a word for. "You don't have to, bud." "Mom said I was going to. She said maybe I would later." "She said that?" "She said maybe when I'm older." "Okay. When you're older, you can decide where you want to live, bud. That'll be up to you." "Okay. But not right now." "Okay. Right now you're here." "Okay." Noah leaned against him for a second. Then he went inside. Adrian stayed on the porch, and he thought about what it meant that a 6-year-old had volunteered that piece of information without being asked. And he thought about the shape of his whole week, and he thought about Ivy, and he went inside to find his son, and they ate cereal together at the counter. Well, Monday morning, Delbert Harmon called him at 7:30. "Son, I need you in my office at 10. "What's going on?" "Something came up. Bring the file." He brought the file. Ivy stayed with Noah. Noah had a half day, and Ivy had brought a bag of donuts over from the bakery at 7, and Adrian had stopped at some point trying to track who was doing what for whom and had just accepted it. And he sat in the client chair in Harmon's office at 9:57, and Harmon came in at 10 on the dot with a cup of coffee and a thick manila folder under his arm. "Okay," Harmon said, setting the folder on the desk. "3 things. Number 1, good. Number 2, better. Number 3, interesting." "Tell me." Number 1. The handwriting expert's written opinion came in Saturday. She's giving us a full report by Friday, but her preliminary conclusion is that the signature on the loan application is not your father's. She is willing to testify. Her credentials are very clean. She's done work for the FBI. Okay. Number 2. The motion to stay was granted Friday afternoon. Judge Barnwell over in Raleigh. We've got 90 days of breathing room. No foreclosure action during those 90 days. No contact from Pinnacle. No seizure. Nothing. 90 days, sighing. 90 days, that's enough to do this right. Mr. Harmon, number 3. Okay, number 3 is interesting. My investigator looked into Pinnacle. Pinnacle is owned by a holding company in Delaware. The holding company is owned by one man, and that man is named Randall Pope. Adrian sat forward. The notary? The notary. The same Randall Pope. The very same. He owns the company that filed the loan. He notarized the loan document with a commission that had been revoked, and his name is on 7 other forgery cases I can find in 3 states. He's done this before. He's done this a lot before. How is he not in jail? Because he's been very careful to stay under the radar. Small dollar amounts, dead people's houses, families that don't fight it. Most people, Adrian, most people get a letter like the one you got, and they just pay, or they walk away. He counts on that. So what do? We don't just fight the claim. We file a countersuit. We go after him and the company for fraud. And I called the Attorney General's office in Raleigh this morning. There's a fraud investigator there who has been looking at him for 2 years. She's very interested in talking to us. Mr. Harmon? Yeah. You're saying I'm saying if we play this right, son, we don't just keep the house. We put this guy in prison, not by ourselves, but we hand the state what it needs. For my dad. For a lot of people's dads. But yeah, for your dad, too. Adrian sat back. He looked out the window at the hardware store sign. He felt for the first time in 10 days like he was standing on ground instead of sinking into it. Okay, he said. Okay? Do it. Do all of it. Good man. Now, I'm sending you over to the recorder's office this afternoon. I need you to pull every document that's been filed against any property your father ever owned. Not just this one. Everything. Farm up in Warren County he used to have. Any rental he might have touched. I want to know if Pope tried this on anything else. Got it. And I need you to find every receipt your father wrote a check for between 2018 and 2020. Credit card statements, check registers, anything with his real signature. I've got those. Bring them Wednesday. Wednesday. Go. On the way out, Adrian stopped at the top of the stairs. He turned back. Harmon was already reading something, glasses low on his nose, pen in hand. Mr. Harmon. Yeah. Why are you doing this? Harmon looked up. He took his glasses off. He rubbed the bridge of his nose. Son, he said, I've been practicing law in this town for 41 years. I've seen a lot. I've seen people take from other people for 41 years. I have not always been able to do anything about it. I'm tired of not being able to do anything about it. Now get out of my office. Adrian went. He went home by way of the flower shop. He had not been inside before. The bell above the door rang when he came in, a small old bell with a round brass body, and the shop smelled the way flower shops smell, wet and green and faintly sweet. And Ivy was behind the counter wrapping a bouquet for an old woman in a pink sweater. She looked up. She did not stop wrapping. I'll be a minute, she said. Take your time. He stood in the middle of the shop. He looked at the flowers. There were buckets of them along both walls, and a refrigerated case at the back, and a wooden table in the center with a vase of sunflowers on it. The whole place was about the size of a one-car garage and felt larger. He could see why she had kept the shop. The old woman in the pink sweater paid. Ivy gave her back her change. The old woman looked at Adrian as she walked past and said, not unkindly, Are you the one from the coal house? Yes, ma'am. Your daddy was a nice man. Thank you, ma'am. You tell Ivy I like those peonies for next Sunday. Yes, ma'am. The old woman left. The bell rang. Ivy came out from behind the counter. That's Mrs. Holcomb, she said. She buys peonies every Sunday for her husband's grave. Oh, she's been doing it for 15 years. She was my aunt's best friend. Ivy. Yeah. They granted the stay 90 days. She stopped. She put a hand on the wooden table in the middle of the shop. She looked at him. 90 days, she said. 90 days. Oh, Adrian. And the handwriting expert. She says it's a forgery. And Dell found the guy. The guy who did it. He owns the company. The same guy. Ivy. He could not finish the sentence. He did not know what the sentence was. He stood in the middle of the flower shop, and he felt his eyes fill, and he did not know what to do with that, because he had not cried in 13 years, and he was not going to do it now. But he also could not say what he was trying to say, so he just stood there. She crossed to him. She put her hands on his face. She did not kiss him. She just held his face in both her hands for a second, her palms cool from working with flowers. And she looked at him, and she did not say anything. Then she dropped her hands. "Okay," she said. Her voice was steady. "Okay, so we keep going." "Yeah. 90 days is a lot of porch posts." "It is." "Go get your kid. I close at 6. "Okay." He stood a second longer. He did not want to leave. He left anyway, and the bell rang behind him, and he walked to his truck in the bright afternoon, and he drove home with the windows down and the radio off. And when he got to his street, he saw the house, his father's house. And for the first time since he had pulled up in the rental truck 11 days ago, it did not look like a thing that was going to fall down. It looked like a thing that was going to stand. He parked. He went inside. Noah was at the counter coloring. Ivy had left a note next to a plate of donuts that said, "Back at 6. He's had 1.5. Your call on the rest." Adrian laughed. He laughed hard enough that Noah looked up. "What?" "Nothing, bud." "Was it the note?" "Yeah." "She wrote a note." "I saw." "She said 1.5. "I can count, bud." "I ate 2. "I figured." "Ivy doesn't know." "I won't tell." "Deal." Adrian sat down next to his son at the counter. Noah went back to his coloring. Adrian watched him. His son was drawing, it turned out, 3 figures on a porch, and one of the figures was clearly Adrian, and one was clearly Noah, and the third was a woman with dark hair in a knot. He did not say anything about the third figure. He just watched his son color, and he let himself, for the first time, think about the shape of a future. He did not say anything about the third figure, but the third figure stayed in his head for the rest of the afternoon, and for most of that week, and into the weeks after. The weeks after went faster than any weeks had gone in a long time. The bed arrived on Monday. It was a simple pine frame with a twin mattress, and Adrian set it up in the blue room while Noah sat cross-legged on the floor and directed the operation like a small foreman. They put the mattress on. They put the sheets on. Dinosaur sheets, because of course, and Noah stood back and looked at his bed with his hands on his hips and said, "That is a good bed." Adrian said, "Yeah, bud, it is." That night, Noah slept in a bed for the first time in 11 days, and Adrian sat on the floor beside him and read 2.5 chapters of the Dragon Book. And when he tried to leave, Noah grabbed his sleeve. "Dad?" "Yeah." "Can you stay a minute?" "Yeah." He stayed. He sat on the floor with his back against the bed frame, and he listened to his son's breathing go even and deep, and he did not move for a long time after, just to make sure. That was a thing he had started to let himself have in the weeks after the stay order came in. He let himself sit in rooms that were quiet. He let himself eat breakfast at a counter without making a list in his head first. He let himself notice a thing and let the noticing be enough. He did not let himself notice Ivy. That was the line he had drawn, and he was holding it, more or less. He worked on the house with her 2 or 3 afternoons a week. They finished the porch railing. They replaced a section of floor in the front hall where the boards had rotted through around the radiator pipe. She taught him to use her father's old table saw, which she had hauled over in her truck one Saturday without being asked. He learned which angle to hold a chisel at. He learned how to tell when a nail was going in at a bad angle just from the sound of the hammer. He learned a lot of things. He did not kiss her. He thought about it. He thought about it most times he walked her to the door at night, and most times she turned at the bottom of the porch steps with that same half-turn, and most times she said something small and precise that left him standing on his own porch with his hands in his pockets, feeling like he had just barely kept himself from stepping off a ledge. He did not kiss her. Not yet. Megan came back twice in the next 6 weeks. The second visit, she brought the boyfriend. He was a perfectly fine man named Patrick who worked in insurance and laughed too loudly at things that were not funny, and Noah shook his hand seriously and then hid behind Adrian for the next 20 minutes. Megan was cooler the second visit. She was running her checklist. She had lawyers of her own now. She had asked Patrick to come because Patrick was, she said, a stabilizing presence. Adrian did not fight with her about it. He let her have her visits. He wrote everything down afterward, dates and times and what was said, the way Harmon had told him to, and he put the notebook in the top drawer of the dresser in his bedroom, and he did not look at it again. At the end of August, she filed the motion. It came to his mailbox in a thick white envelope from a law firm in Cleveland, and he read it standing in the driveway with the sun on the back of his neck. And the bottom line of the motion said that Megan Cole was petitioning the court to modify the existing custody arrangement to return primary physical custody of Noah Michael Cole to the petitioner, on the grounds that the circumstances of the child's current placement were materially inadequate. He took it to Harmon that afternoon. Harmon read it. He did not whistle this time. He just read it all the way through and then set it on the desk and took his glasses off. "Okay," he said. "This is not a surprise. We knew this was coming. We got the fraud case, which is your strongest card. We've got the stay on the house. We've got the school enrollment, the doctor's records, the pediatrician's note from last week. We've got a lot. And we have the custody agreement she voluntarily signed. And we have her on record telling 2 different therapists she was not in a place to parent the boy. She gave us this on a platter, son." What happens? We file our response. We request a home study. We request expedited scheduling. We get this in front of a judge by November, ideally. And between now and then, you keep doing exactly what you're doing. Which is what? Raising the boy, going to the school events, showing up, keeping receipts. Don't change anything. Don't get fancy. Don't try to look like a perfect father. Just be his father and let a judge look at that. Okay? One other thing. Yeah, if you have a relationship with anybody, a woman, be careful. I'm not telling you what to do with your personal life. I'm telling you a custody judge is going to look at stability. If you're dating somebody, that's fine. That's normal. If the relationship is serious enough that she's spending a lot of time around the boy, you want to be able to say cleanly that it's serious. If it's not, you want to be able to say cleanly that it's not. The thing a judge does not like is gray. Okay. You hearing me? Yes, sir. Son? I know. He walked back to the truck in the hardware store parking lot and sat behind the wheel for a long time before he turned the key. He did not call Ivy that night. He called her the next day from the kitchen while Noah was at school, and he said, "Can you come over after the shop closes? Is everything okay?" "Yeah, I just need to... Can you come over?" "I'll be there at 6:30. She came at 6:30. He had made a pot of coffee. He sat her down at the kitchen table. He had bought a table, a real table, at a yard sale the week before. And he told her about Megan's motion, and he told her what Harmon had said about stability, and he told her what Harmon had said about Gray. She listened without interrupting. She drank her coffee. When he was done, she set the cup down. "Okay," she said. "Okay? Okay, so what do you want to do?" "I don't know." "That's not true, Ivy." "Adrian, you called me over here. You told me the thing. You didn't tell me the thing just to update me. What do you want?" He looked at her. "I don't want you to go anywhere," he said. "Okay? I want you to keep coming over. I want Noah to keep seeing you. I want this to keep being what it is." "Okay? But I can't let it be Gray. Not right now. Not for the next 4 months. Okay? So I'm asking you, yeah, Adrian? I'm asking you to wait." She looked at him. Her face did something he had not seen it do before. It went very still, the way water goes still when the wind drops, and she did not say anything for what felt like a long time. "How long?" she said. "Until the custody hearing, however long that takes. Harmon thinks November." 3 months? Maybe 4. Okay. Ivy. What? Is that too much to ask? She thought about it. She was honest, thinking about it. He watched her think. "No," she said. "It's not too much. It's a reasonable thing to ask. I understand why you're asking." Okay? But, yeah, I need you to be honest with me about what you're asking for. What do you mean? I mean, are you asking me to wait because you want this to be something later? Or are you asking me to wait because you don't know what you want and it's easier to tell me to wait than to figure it out? He looked at her. "The first thing," he said. "Say it. I want this to be something. I want you to be... I want this. You. Us. I want it. Okay? I just can't. Not yet. Not while he could take Noah. She. Megan could. She. Adrian. What? I will wait. But I'm not going to wait forever. And I'm not going to wait across the street and pretend I don't know you. We're still going to be friends. I'm still going to come over and help you with the porch and eat your hot dogs. Noah's still going to hug me when I come in. I'm not disappearing. I don't want you to. Good, because I wasn't going to. Ivy. Yeah. Thank you. She shook her head. Don't thank me for this, she said. This one was not a favor. He walked her to the door. At the bottom of the steps, she did her half-turn. She looked back at him. 4 months, she said. 4 months. I'm holding you to it. Okay. She crossed the street. He watched her until her porch light came on. Then he went inside to his son, Ocham. The fraud case moved in its own time, separate from the custody case, and through September it kept moving. The Attorney General's investigator, a sharp, tired woman named Linda Herrera, interviewed Adrian twice, once at Harmon's office and once in a conference room at the state office building in Raleigh. She looked at the forged loan document. She looked at the handwriting expert's report. She looked at the records Adrian had pulled from the recorder's office, which turned out to include one other forgery that Randall Pope had filed against an unrelated property 2 counties over, belonging to a woman who had died in 2018 and whose 3 children had paid the claim rather than fight it. By the middle of September, the Attorney General's office had enough to move. Harmon called Adrian on a Tuesday morning. They're filing, he said. End of the week. Fraud, forgery, a racketeering count if they can make it stick. Pope is going to be arrested Friday morning. Friday. They're doing it early, before he can move any money. They've already got warrants on the accounts. Mr. Harmon. Yeah. Is it him? For sure. It's him. They found his fingerprints on the original loan application, the actual physical fingerprints on the paper. They also found his handwriting on 3 of the other fake signatures. Not your dad's, but other people's. He got sloppy. He did too many of these. And the loan. The loan is void. It's gone. There was no loan. There never was a loan. The house is yours. Adrian sat down at the kitchen counter. Mr. Harmon. Yeah. Could you say that again? The house is yours, son. Free and clear. Whatever you thought you owed, you don't owe. Whatever they tried to take, they can't take. He did not say anything for a minute. He pressed the phone against his ear, and he looked at the water stain on the ceiling. The water stain he had been looking at off and on for 32 years. And he felt the room get quieter around him, the way a room gets quieter when a refrigerator turns off, and you did not realize it had been humming. Adrian. Yeah. You there. I'm here. You hearing me? I'm hearing you. Good. Now, Friday morning, I want you in my office at 9. The news is going to come out. There's going to be press. Herrera said the paper's already been calling. I don't want you to talk to any of them without me there. Okay. And son. Yeah. Your dad didn't do this. Your dad never signed anything. That's the record now. That's the official record. Mr. Harmon. Yeah. Thank you. Stop. No. For this one. Harmon was quiet for a second. Then he said, You're welcome, son. And he hung up. Yeah. That afternoon, Adrian walked across the street. Ivy was in the front yard. She was weeding a flower bed along the walk, kneeling in the grass with a trowel in her hand, and she looked up when he came up the path. Adrian? They got him. What? Pope, the guy. They're arresting him Friday. The loan's gone. The house is mine. She stood up. She still had the trowel in her hand. She stood very still in the afternoon sun with dirt on her knees and her hair coming loose from its knot, and she looked at him and she did not say anything for a second. Adrian. Yeah. Oh my, I know. The house. It's mine. It's really mine. The debt is gone. Adrian. I know. Oh my, she dropped the trowel. She crossed the 3 feet between them and she put her arms around him, and he put his arms around her, and he held her for what might have been 5 seconds, or 20. He did not know. She smelled like sweat and dirt, and the faint citrus soap he had smelled the first time he was in her house, and her hair was under his chin, and he felt her exhale against his shoulder, one long, steady breath, and then she stepped back. Sorry, she said. Don't. I know what you said about don't apologize. Okay. Ivy. What? I came to tell you because I wanted you to know first. Before anybody. Okay? Before Mike. Before anybody. Okay. I wanted you to be the first person I told. She looked at him. Okay, she said. That's all. Okay. He stood there another second. Then he crossed back across the street and he went inside his house. His house now, all the way his. And he called his brother. Mike cried. Adrian had never heard his brother cry before. On Friday morning, the news broke. It was a small story in a small paper, but it was the front page of that small paper, and the headline was long, and the picture was of Randall Pope being walked out of a bail bondsman's office in Raleigh in handcuffs. Harmon had Adrian at his office by 8:45. A reporter from the local weekly came by at 10. Adrian said what Harmon had told him to say, which was not much, just that his family was grateful to the Attorney General's office and that he hoped the arrest would bring some peace to the other families that had been victimized. He did not cry. He did not get emotional. He just said the words and shook the reporter's hand and went home. That night, Ivy came over with Chinese takeout. Noah ate lo mein. Adrian ate sweet and sour chicken. Ivy ate half of Adrian's sweet and sour chicken. They sat at the kitchen table, his new table, and they talked about nothing in particular, about Noah's teacher, and about the new sign Ivy wanted to paint for the shop, and about whether or not it was going to rain that weekend. And at one point, Noah looked up from his noodles and said, "We should have a party." "For what, bud?" "For the house." "The house. Because we fixed it." "We didn't fix all of it yet." "We fixed a lot." "That's true." Ivy helped. Ivy did help. "So we should have a party for the fixing, and Ivy should come." "Ivy is here, bud." "I mean to the party." Ivy laughed. She had noodles on her fork. She put the fork down. "I would like to come to the party," she said. "Good." "What kind of party?" "A hot dog party." "A hot dog party." "Because hot dogs are sometimes dinner." "Noah." "What?" "I love that." They did not have a hot dog party that night, but Adrian thought about it later after Noah was in bed and Ivy had gone home. He stood on his porch, the finished porch, with the new post and the new railing and the new balusters, and he looked up and down his quiet street, and he thought about the shape of a future for the first time in a long time without flinching from it. He had the house. He had his son. He had 90 days before a judge was going to decide whether he got to keep his son, and he had a woman across the street who had agreed to wait, and he had a lawyer who would not let him thank him, and he had a brother in California who had cried on the phone when he told him the news. He stood on his porch, and he thought, "I am not a broken man." He thought, "I have not been for a while now, and I did not notice." He thought, "I am going to win this." He went inside. He locked the door. He climbed the stairs, and the third step creaked, and he stood in the doorway of his son's room and watched him sleep. And then he went to his own bed. He had a bed now, too, a real bed. And he slept well, for the first time in a very long time. Showmore Sart 939 Claude responded. She came over that night after Noah was asleep. She came over that night after Noah was asleep. They sat on the porch with the new railing between them and the crickets loud in the yard. And Adrian did not make a speech because he had learned by then that he was not a man who was good at speeches. He just said, "I want this, whatever this is. I want it to keep going." And she said, "Okay." And that was the beginning. The rest took longer than it should have and happened faster than he expected, the way those things do. Sonia Reyes got her indictment in August. Randall Pope pled out in October to avoid a jury, which meant 6 years in a federal facility and a restitution order that would outlive him. The false loan against the house was vacated by court order 2 weeks after that, and Adrian signed the paper in Harmon's office with a cheap hardware store ballpoint and walked out into the afternoon light feeling lighter by the exact weight of $60,000. Harmon refused to bill him. Adrian built him a bookcase instead, out of reclaimed oak from an old barn on the edge of town, and Harmon set it against the wall of his office behind the filing cabinets and told everybody who came in that it was the finest piece of carpentry above a hardware store in the state. Megan came out in July and stayed in a bed and breakfast for 4 days and took Noah to the aquarium in Wilmington. And when she dropped him back off that Sunday, she and Adrian sat on his porch for 20 minutes and talked the way two people talk when they have finally stopped being married to each other. She got married the following spring. to the man with the 8-year-old daughter. And Noah went to the wedding and came back with cake on his collar and stories about a girl named Lily who had taught him how to do a cartwheel. Ivy kept the blue house across the street for a long time, long enough that the crossing back and forth became a joke in the neighborhood. She moved in officially the week of Noah's 7th birthday, bringing one suitcase, the blue glass vase, and the refrigerator magnets, and she left the rest of the house across the way furnished for her cousin's family, who needed it. The flower shop kept running. The porch kept being a porch. Noah grew 2 inches that year and lost his first tooth and stopped carrying beans everywhere, though the rabbit still lived at the end of his bed. On the first anniversary of the day Adrian had pulled up in that rental truck, he asked Ivy to marry him in the backyard they had spent a year putting back together. Noah stood between them because Noah had insisted on standing between them. She said yes before Adrian had finished the question, which she would remind him of for the rest of their lives. He thought about it later, sometimes, sitting on that porch, about the version of himself who had sat in the cab of that truck a year before with his hands at 10 and 2. That man had believed, down in the bone of him, that he had already used up whatever good he was going to get. He had been wrong. Not because life had been kind to him, life had not been particularly kind, but because he had been wrong about what the good was made of. The good was not a house that did not fall down. It was a house that somebody helped you keep standing. It was a kid who told a judge he wanted to stay. It was a woman who crossed a street at 5:40 in the morning with a light bulb in her hand and did not need a reason. It was a lawyer who remembered a dining table. It was the whole small, ordinary weight of people who showed up, over and over, for no reason anybody could put into words. Adrian had come home broken at 32. He had not expected to be rebuilt. He had expected to just patch the holes well enough to keep the weather out for his son. What he had not understood, until he stood in his own backyard with a 6-year-old's hand in his and a ring in his pocket, was that sometimes a man does not rebuild himself. Sometimes the people who find him do the rebuilding, a board at a time, in the ordinary days, while he is too busy surviving to notice. And sometimes, if he is very lucky, he looks up one evening and the house is whole.